Okay, there we go. Okay, so the last thing we haven't talked about yet are something called even functions and odd functions from section 4-8, okay? Okay, so even and odd functions. Everything else we've talked about, not that you had to do it, not sections, functions, even and odd functions. Again, you could have, you didn't have to, but you could have already gotten pretty much everything done up until the last probably 10 questions that had to do with something called even and odd functions. All right, so first off, I'm going to just give you some examples of even functions and odd functions, okay? An example of an even function would be y equals x squared, okay? And again, in about 4 or 5 minutes, somebody's going to say, I know how you can tell, it's just because of this, okay? And that works sometimes, but not always, and not on a test, okay? So, y equals x squared is an even function. If I gave you y equals 3x to the fourth minus 5x squared, that's an even function.
I already see that.
Huh? Okay, I'm going to give you one more example here, and you tell me, is this an even function? Y equals 9x to the 8th plus 4x to the 6th minus 1. Is that even?
Yep.
Okay, and I'm not making fun here, but I have a feeling. Why do you say it's an even function?
Because the powers are even.
What powers are even?
8 and 6.
Which powers? Okay, I'm looking for one word, but you're right. But I mean, another way of saying it is, which of the powers? Some of them?
All of them.
All of them. Okay, all the powers are even. Okay, very good. Now I'm feeling some of you all think the same things. Yeah, the powers are even, so it's an even function. Okay, that's not necessarily going to work on the test. Okay, it's not going to necessarily work. All right. Now I want to explain what the heck it means by why a function is an even function. Okay, let's do the easiest one. Y equals x squared. If I made a t-chart, if I was to plug in 3 for x, 3 squared is 9. If I plug in negative 3 for x, negative 3 squared is also positive 9. Okay? If I was to plug in 8 for x, 8 squared is 64. If I plug in negative 8, negative 8 squared is also 64. Okay? If I plugged in 12 for x, 12 squared is 144. If I plug in negative 12, we get 144. Negative 12 times negative 12 is 144, okay? Now, if I plugged in 17.3, what's 17.3 squared? Somebody say it. No, it's really okay. I'm thinking the same thing. What's 17.3 times 17.3? Somebody say it. I don't know either, okay? It's something, okay? If I plug in negative 17.3, what's negative 17.3 squared?
The same.
Whatever it is, it's the same as what?
17.2.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is, but it's the same, okay? It's kind of like this. I'll use this example. I use it all the time in FST because they're brothers in that class. You guys know Cal and Max Bigelow?
Yep.
I have no idea when their birthday is, but you know what? It's the same. Why? Anybody know?
They're twins.
They're twins, okay? Seriously, I don't know when their birthday is. I really don't know, okay? But they're twins, okay? I have Luke Bigelow in class, so I use those two kids as an example all the time. So same thing here. I have no idea what this is. I have no idea what this is, but when I plug it in, it's the same, okay? So what it means by an even function, okay? Let's write it. I would jot this down right here, okay? F of x and f of negative x are the same thing, okay? When you plug in x and you plug in the opposite of x, you get the same thing, okay? And then we're going to write what I just said in words, okay? So when I plugged in 17.3, you said the answer was, I don't know. I said, when you plug in negative 17.3, you said, I don't know, but it's the same. Okay, that's all this is saying here, okay? So put in I'm going to put this right here. Plug in x and negative x, you get the same thing. You get the same thing, okay? That's what this means in words. This is mathematically, this is English language, okay? When you plug in a number, any number, and you plug in its opposite, you get the same thing, okay? That's what this is saying right here. This is for an even function, okay? Let's just put that. Sorry, I should have done this. Okay. You plug in x, you plug in negative x, you get the same. That's what it means by an even function, okay? Now, I wouldn't write this down. I would just watch. Okay, based on what Iobi said a few minutes ago, based on what he said a few minutes ago, would you say that's an even function or an odd function? Odd, why?
All the powers are
What's odd?
The exponents.
Which exponents?
all
All of them. Every exponent's odd. Now, that's true. But again, on your test, and it's not like I'm trying to get you, okay? But that's not necessarily going to work, okay? Those are definitely odd functions because all of the exponents are odd, okay? Now, let me do the easiest odd function, okay? Y equals x to the third, okay? All right, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky, okay? Well, at first, you'll be okay here in a second, but in about a minute or so, this is where you have to really focus hard because you get lost real quick. Okay, and I'm gonna go slowly, but even when I go slowly, if you blink, you're gonna miss it. If I was to plug in 2 to the power of 3, 2 times 2 times 2, be careful, it's not 6. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. When I plug in negative 2, what's negative 2 to the third? What's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2?
It's still gonna be.
What's it gonna be 8? It's negative 8. Now, how did I just prove that that's not an even function?
Because
When I plugged in a number and I plugged in its opposite, did you get the same thing?
no.
No, you didn't. You did not get the same thing, okay? Let's plug in 5. 5 to the third. 5 to the third, 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5, 5 quarters is $1.25. Let's plug in negative 5. Okay? What's negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5?
25 and then negative 2.
Negative 125. You didn't get the same thing. Anybody want to say a word? I think somebody will say something. You don't get the same thing. Who's saying that? What'd you say? You get the opposite, okay? You didn't get the same thing, but there is a relationship, okay? So, you're still up, Hope. If I plugged in 18.3, what's 18.3 times 18.3 times 18.3? I don't know either, okay? But if I plug in negative 18.3, you know what negative 18.3 times negative 18.3 times negative, whatever it said, times whatever it is, whatever this is going to be the opposite of it, okay? So, back here we said, when you plug in a number and its opposite, you get the same thing. Hope's already said this like 5 times. Here, when I plug in a number and its opposite, do you get the same thing? You get the opposite. It's not just different, it's the opposite, okay? So, let's jot that down, okay? Now, before I actually write it like this.
So is there numbers that would not, or that would be odd that you plug in and get the same?
You'll see. You'll see here. Okay? Now, before we write any of this down, just watch really carefully. This is where, I'm going to say it slowly, but again, if you blink, you're going to miss it, okay? Is that a true statement? No, it's not. 12 does not equal negative 12, okay? Don't blink, okay? You know how I can make it a true statement? Here it comes. Now is it true?
Yeah.
Or, now is it true?
Yeah, because they do
two
positive.
What's negative negative 12?
The
Positive.
one negative counters the other negative.
So it's what? What's negative negative 12?
12 equals
12 equals 12. So what I did was this. I put down opposites equal each other. And you guys said, no, they don't equal each other. So how did I make a true statement? I either made this negative or that. Can I make them both negative at the same time? Is that cool? No, just one or the other. Which one? Does it matter? Doesn't matter. So if I put down a number equals its opposite, to make a true statement, just make one of them the opposite. Okay? All right, so let's write that down. For an odd function. Okay? Okay, so I wrote the same thing that I just wrote last time, okay? F of x is the same as f of negative x, okay? Hope's already said this 6 times. Was that a true statement for an odd function? No, they're not the same. And don't just say they're different, they are opposites. So how do I make opposites the same? I slap a negative on which of these?
Anyone.
Either one. Okay? That's the mathematical way of saying this. Plug in x and negative x. I'm not going to say you get the same thing. You get what? Get the opposite. Okay?
Mr. Gill,
Mm-hmm.
how do you, like to find even odd functions, how do you do it?
How do you find it? We're going to show you in a second.
Oh, okay.
I haven't shown you that yet. I haven't shown you how to find them. Well, I have, but indirectly. You just don't realize I've shown it to you yet. Okay? So, I want to be very careful on this one, okay? If I give you this right here, this is where it gets a little tricky, and I've never talked to you guys about this before, okay? If I give you this right here, all right, is that an even function or an odd function? Well, even, I've already told you that one, okay? Now, just be very careful. We've never talked about this before. 10 squared is 100. Negative 10 squared is 100. Did I just prove that it's an even function?
Yes,
Why do you say that?
because you have 10 and then 10's opposite and they both do the same thing.
Okay, I'm glad he said that, okay? So I'll tell you what, here's what I'm gonna do, okay? I'm gonna try to do this, how am I gonna do this here? I'm gonna prove that everybody in here plays football for Union City. You play football?
Yep.
Do you play football? Okay. Do you play football? Did I prove it?
No.
What do you mean?
You only asked.
You play football? No, she doesn't, okay? So in order to prove it, somebody prove something, it has to be true when? Forever. Now, I'm glad that you spoke up, Phoenix. I didn't prove it. This is an even function. It is even. I didn't prove it, though, okay? Because I only chose it for 10 and negative 10. I need to prove it for which numbers?
2.
Just 2 numbers?
All of them.
All, and how many numbers are there?
Too many.
Infinite. Now, am I going to plug in an infinite number of numbers? No, it would take me forever, literally, okay? So here's what you do, okay? Here's what you do. And here's what it's going to be like on the test. On your homework, it says, is this even or is it odd, okay? And you just click even or odd. On your test, it's not going to say, is this even or odd? It's going to say, this is even, prove it. Or it's going to say, this is odd, prove it, okay? Well, what does it say here? X could be any number, okay? Any number, any and all numbers. So I plug in X and I plug in negative X. So if I give you this right here, if I gave you f of X equals 5x squared plus 3, okay? It's going to say that's even. Prove it, okay? And here's how you prove it. What am I going to plug in for X? I've already plugged in. If I plug in, huh?
Anything.
Not anything. That, again, that's like saying I'm going to prove everybody plays football, and I picked you. No, I got to pick everybody, okay? We plug in the opposite of this. What's the opposite of X?
Negative 5.
So,
Negative
5 times negative X squared plus 3. I replaced X with the opposite of X. The opposite of X is negative X, okay? So now some people go, well, how do you know X is negative? You don't, okay? You don't know. I'm thinking of a number. Is it positive or what's the number?
I don't know.
So you'll say it's what?
5.
You know it's 5?
No.
So what is it? You don't know. So what do we put in math if we don't know something?
Imaginary.
Imagine.
Oh, I didn't say it was. It might be an imaginary number.
Variable.
Okay, so
Okay.
X. Okay. So is X positive or is it negative? Am I thinking of a positive number or a negative number?
Oh.
You don't know.
Yeah.
It could be either one. Okay, it could be either one. X could be any number, okay? So if X is positive, negative X is negative. What if X is a negative number? Then it's a positive, okay? So let's clean this up. What's negative X squared? What's negative X times negative X? Positive X what?
Squared.
Times 5. So negative X squared is positive X squared times 5. So, how did I prove that's even? Look at these. One word. What did you just say?
The same.
It's the same. I mean, literally. Look at that. Look at that.
You started with what you ended with.
Yeah, I started with 100 with. Okay. Now, if I gave you this right here, f of x is 2x to the third plus 8. Okay. That's going to be an odd function. Okay, it's an odd function. How do we prove it? What do I plug in for x?
Negative X.
Negative x. 2 times negative x cubed plus 8. Okay. Ooh. I lied. Okay. Just keep going here. I just made a mistake. What's negative x cubed? What's negative x times negative x times negative x? Negative x to the third. Okay. And what's 2 times negative x to the third? Negative 2x to the third. Now, answer what I ask.
Not the same.
Is it even?
No.
Why?
Because you did end in the same, but you ended in the opposite.
They're not the same.
You ended with the opposite.
Okay. Is it odd?
Yes.
Or yes and no? Let's find it out.
Yeah.
It's definitely not even because they're not the same.
But you gotta.
It's not odd. Why?
Oh, because the
It's
8
either
isn't up. The 8.
They're not opposites. What's the opposite of positive 2x3 plus 8?
Negative
2x3.
minus.
So what's the answer here? It's neither one. Most functions, a lot of students think, listen carefully, a lot of students think, well, it's either even or odd. Functions are either even or odd. No, they're not. Most functions are neither one. Neither one. Let's do this one. This is why, I'm not making fun here, okay? Iobi said, you know, you just look at the powers. And I said, that's not always going to work, okay? And here's a perfect example of how it's not going to necessarily work. Okay? What's the exponent right here? A 1. So you think it's what? Even or odd? You think it's odd. Let's find out. What are you going to plug in for x?
Negative x.
So 4 times negative x minus 3. What's 4 times negative x?
4 minus x.
What's positive times a negative?
Oh,
Negative 4x minus 3. Is it even?
no.
Why?
Because you didn't end in the scenario.
They're not the same. Is it odd?
No.
Why?
Because they're not opposite.
They're not opposites. So you say
Not-
neither one. It's neither even nor odd. Okay? So that's how you tell. For every one of these, okay? Now again, with that being said, when you start your assignment, okay? And some of you have probably already done this, and you might have already finished this thing, okay? Good for you. Okay? Number 39, for example, this is the actual assignment right here. It says f of x is 4x to the 7th. Okay? Only you are going to know this, whether you do this or not. You guys should already know the answer. Is that even, odd, or neither? Odd. Why? The exponent is odd. So you can click on odd, next question. That's not how it's going to be on the test. It's not going to say, is this even or odd? It's going to say, show why it's even or odd, okay? So, I'm just saying, I don't care how you do the assignment, but on the test, it's going to say it like that, okay? So, if this was a test question, it's going to say, show why this is even or it's odd. Either way, I don't care if you're showing that it's even or it's odd. What do we plug in?
Negative.
Negative x. So 4 times negative x to the 7th. What's a negative x to the 7th?
Negative 7.
Negative x 7.
Negative x 7. What's 4 times negative x 7?
Negative 4 7.
So, is it even, odd, or neither? Is it even? No. Why? It's not the same. Is it odd? Yes. Why? They're opposites. It's odd because they're opposites, okay? Again, on your homework, and I've said this several times, I'm going to say it again. You just click on it. Some of you probably knew it was odd, done, okay? But on your test, you got to know how, you got to explain why it's even or odd, or neither. 41. Okay. All right, 41 we have. X4 plus 3x squared minus 2. X4. This is more like what you're going to see on the test. Something like that. X4 plus 3x squared minus 2. Well, actually, okay, let's show that this is even or odd or neither. Okay? And again, actually, you probably already know. What do you guys think? Even or odd or neither on this one?
Even.
Even. And it's even because all the exponents are even. Okay? But let's actually show it. Okay? So we plug in negative x for which x? All of them. Both of them. Okay? So in parentheses, negative x to the 4th plus 3 parentheses negative x to the 2nd minus 2. And I want to make sure we haven't said this explicitly today. I want to make sure people understand this. When I take negative x to the 4th, what's negative x to the 4th?
Negative x.
What's negative x times negative x times negative x times negative x?
Oh.
Why positive?
Because it counters, because you multiply it so much by the, odd.
A negative times a negative is a positive.
Okay. And you guys are saying it, both saying it right. I'm looking for a simpler explanation. You guys are both right. Anybody think of a simpler way? How about this? What?
Even.
What's even?
The amount of negatives.
The number of negatives, even number of negatives. Every two negatives balance each other out, okay? So, this is going to be, what'd you say, positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive x to the what? 4th. And I'm going to try to say this slowly and clearly. Even when I say it slowly and clearly, it's hard for some students to understand. When I say negative x to the 4th is positive x to the 4th. Well, how does it become positive? Because we have an even number of negatives, okay? If I take negative x to the 4th, those 4 negatives cancel each other out. What's negative x squared?
Positive
Positive x. Positive x
Positive x squared.
squared times 3 is 3x squared. Was it indeed even? Yeah, why? It's the same. It's an even function. Stay the same. Okay, 43, just a few more. F of x is what? Okay, x squared plus 5x plus 1. X squared plus 5x plus 1. And again, I don't even keep beating this to death here, okay? But I want to make sure you don't mess it up on the test. What I'm getting at is this. On this one, what do you think? Do you think this one would be even or odd or neither on this one? What is your gut instinct? Any guesses?
Even.
All right. Heard even and odd. Anybody say neither? Or go all the way around? I don't know. Tell you what, there's no way it's even. Why?
Oh, never mind. There's a 1, so I think it's neither.
Why was this one even?
Because all the exponents were even.
Why is this not even?
Because only one.
All exponents are not, because this is a what? 1. Why was this one odd? The exponents are all odd. Why is this not odd?
One would be.
Yeah, all the exponents are not odd, okay? Now again, just to be very clear here, on your test, if I say is this even or odd or neither, and explain why, this is not going to give you full credit if you say, well, it's not even because they're not all even, they're not all odd, so it's not odd. That's not the way I want you doing it. How do I want you proving that it's neither even nor odd? What do you do on every one of these? Plug in. Plug in what?
The opposite. Or
Negative x for which x?
all.
So, negative x squared plus 5 times negative x. And if you didn't already catch this, to show whether it's even or odd, you do it the same way. You plug in negative x, okay? On these ones, when it says either even or odd, you plug in negative x for all the x's. And what's negative x squared?
Positive x.
Positive x squared. 5 times negative x? Negative 5x. Is it even?
No,
Why?
it's not the same.
They're not the same. Is it odd?
No,
Why?
it's not opposite.
They're not opposites. What's the opposite of positive x squared plus 5x plus 1? Negative, negative, negative. So it's neither even nor odd. Neither one. Last one. And I lied. I said I was going to stop saying this, but I'm not. If you're sitting there going, heck with this, I can look at it and say it's either even or odd. You can do that in your assignment. You definitely can. And you'll get them right very likely, okay? But you got to know how to do it on test, okay? All right, so number 45.